And it is from the greatest of ills, my brothers and sisters, that you ever seclude yourself with a woman. Do not seclude yourself with a woman. As the Prophet ﷺ said, that if a man is in seclusion with a woman, then the third is who? Shaitan. And what's the shaitan going to do? He carries a message from this one to that one. He says to her, look at him in the eyes. He says to him, look at him in such and such a manner. He says to her, move closer. He informs her, move closer to him. Seclusion with a woman is extremely dangerous, my brothers and sisters. And it reminds me of a situation that occurred on an occasion with a sister. May Allah forgive us and forgive her. Now this situation occurred that she intended to give da'wah to an individual. Right? She intended to give da'wah to an individual in her educational facility. She was in the same educational facility as that individual. And her intention was to give him da'wah. So initially, she was in the same lecture theatre with him. And this ikhtilat, and this free mixing in the lecture theatres, this is something that the scholars, they forbid. Shaykh Abdul Aziz ibn Baz, Shaykh Muhammad bin Salih al-Uthaymin, Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan, Lajnatul Da'ima, past and present, that free mixing in the universities and in the educational facilities is something that is forbidden. Nevertheless, this sister was there. And she started sitting close, not next to each other, but in the same vicinity as a non-Muslim, as a kafir, male. And he started, he asked her, she was wearing the hijab and so on. So he asked her some questions about the hijab. So she responded. She responded positively to her da'wah. So then, she would see him in the lecture theatre and she would give him da'wah. Talk about Islam, talk about Allah, talk about the Messenger, talk about the falsehood of his religion and so on. And the next thing that happened is that they would meet in the canteen, in the cafeteria of that educational establishment. So they would share a coffee and they would sit across from the table. Then that moved to outside of the university. Kafir, man. Muslim woman hijab. No niqab, but hijab. And that moved to outside of the university, in a restaurant. So now they're having a meal together. And then eventually, it led to him inviting her to his apartment to talk about Islam, apparently. And her experience with Islam, and how she grew up as a Muslim. Nothing happened to begin with. But eventually, that which shaitan wanted, and that which shaitan desired for them, and that was that they sin, and that they cause, and that they enter into this transgression against themselves, and transgressing the deen of Allah, that they slept with each other. And he impregnated her, she became pregnant. Now this is a woman, Muslim woman. Now, she phones, asking for help. What shall I do? Now, I want to have an abortion. Okay, now the child, she's been sleeping with this man, Allahu A'lam, 6 months, 7 months, something like this. And now she wants to have an abortion. She didn't recognize when she was pregnant, and now the pregnancy is in mid-term. Now she wants to have an abortion. So I said, haram. Shaykh Falah, I asked him the question, Shaykh Falah was with me. Shaykh Falah said, don't follow up one sin with another sin. Don't follow up the sin of fornication with the sin of murder. So then, Shaykh Falah advised, so I passed on the advice, go to your parents and inform them. Make tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And tell them. Went to the mother, mother said, have an abortion. Don't tell your father, have an abortion. This is the reality of what occurs. And she said, I'm going to have an abortion, I can't live with this, the shame and humiliation. But as we say, that if you're going to commit a crime of pleasure, that you're going to commit this crime, and you enjoyed it, and you took pleasure in it, then when the hardship comes, then you better be ready to face the hardship that comes with it also. You can't expect to have all of this fun and then say, okay, I made a mistake, so now khalas, it's all over, I'm going to kill the baby. No, you have to now take the consequences of your actions. Imagine someone's sister, someone's daughter, and she comes home pregnant. What is that? It is humiliation, of course, it's embarrassment. humiliation. But she committed that crime. And now she has to suffer the consequences of that crime. So this issue of seclusion is important, but we don't give it its true importance.